Coming up tonight on Sports Paws, women's soccer takes on Brown in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Could they complete the upset?
And men's ice hockey takes on Yale in the first installment of the Battle of Whitney Avenue.
And volleyball heads to New Jersey to finish out the regular season. How will the final standings shake out?
All this and more coming up on Sports Paws starting right now. Happy belated Veterans Day and welcome into Studio 125 for another episode of Sports Paws. I'm Anthony Rossi, joined alongside Brandon Murdoch for his Sports Paws debut, Brandon, you ready to kick it off?
Yeah, certainly. Let's get right into the action. The women's soccer team made the trip to Brown for the first round of the NCAA tournament. Could they pull off something special? Now, on Saturday afternoon, the Quinnipiac Bobcats took a visit to Rhode Island to take on the Brown Bears in the first round of NCAA tournament action, with both teams having the round of 32 on their minds. Now, in the first half, about 15 minutes in the game, Cheyenne Allen puts a ball in the box that Brittany Ruffino gets a head on. Following an error from Madison Mandler, Ava Seelenfront was the first to the loose ball and poked it past Sofia Locinoso, 1-0 Bears. Now, later on in the half, Allen again puts a ball into the box, this time from a corner, but a poor header from Courtney Choco finds the foot of Layla Shell at the back post, who buries it for the 2-0 lead. Now, moving on to the second half, a good passing display by the Bears starts with Ruffino, who dishes it over to Audrey Lamb, who makes another pass over to Seelenfront, but she gets robbed by Lo Spinoso. To keep this a 2-0 game, one of her 5 saves on the night. She was fantastic in this one. Now, despite the 2-0 deficit, the Bobcats never gave up, and Maddie Allen makes incredible defensive play here to keep up with leading goal scorer Ruffino and keep her from getting a third goal. But Ruffino would not be denied, as in the final minute, a Lo Spinoso goal kick is headed back into the direction of Ruffino by Lucinda Anderson, who goes in on a breakaway and ices the game, making it 3-0. Now, as Alves puts a ball into the box, it is caught by Claire Gagny, and that's the game, as the Bears storm the field in celebration and the Bobcats fall in despair as their season comes to an end, 3-0. Now, Lo Spinoso was fantastic in this one with 5 saves, but it was not enough to stop the 3 goal scorers from Brown. The Bears will move on to face Mississippi State in the second round. Now, despite the season coming to an end, the graduating players left a mark on the program. Women's soccer beat reporter Santino Maione has more.
The Quinnipiac Bobcats lost to the Brown University Bears in the first round of the NCAA tournament by a score of 3-0. Now, while the Bobcats didn't achieve their goal of winning an NCAA tournament game this year, the team still embodied what it means to be great.
With the abundance of accomplishments the Bobcats had this season, it's safe to say this team will go down as the greatest team in Quinnipiac women's soccer history.
They've won 4 playoff games in a row without conceding a goal. So when you look at 2 league titles, 2 back-to-back championships, retaining it, undefeated, lost to Monmouth in the final, and 2 other semi-finals where again they lost to Monmouth. The COVID season we were tied for the league and we only lost on head-to-head. The players that were sitting in the front were all the players who played in the 2000 team. So they're in the Hall of Fame. They've got their ring, they've got everything. And we said we can't keep looking back to them saying who's going to be better than them. Until they came in, they were the best team. I think this team surpassed that team. They won't agree with it, but they're a better team.
While most championship-level teams deal with some kind of adversity throughout the season, this Bobcats squad dealt with more than most teams really do. And despite all of that, they were able to rise above those challenges and still be successful throughout this year.
They dealt with the challenge to get back. Very few teams. I know there's teams and dynasties, and whether it's our women's basketball team, Marist, and all of that, volleyball. It is hard to get back, and you can't take it for granted. So for them to win it again, and then I think they've grown as a team. I think they've had a better year. They've been a better team, which I said to you all year that I thought they were. Even when they didn't win a game in preseason, lost 2 of the first 3. They never stopped working. And I don't think they ever stopped believing in themselves. And once they grew and said, that's it, it's us against the world almost, they grew as a team, and they've been tremendous.
With back-to-back MAC championships under their belt, the Bobcats will look to win their first ever NCAA tournament game next season. Reporting for Q30 Sports, I'm Santino Maione.
Now, switching from the pitch to the ice, the men's ice hockey team also took on Brown this weekend. Now, the Bobcats are looking to make it 2 in a row as they host the Brown Bears, and Rand Pecknold is going with Mate Marinov in the crease in this one. Now, midway through the first period, it is Victor Trineski in air looking to get on the board, but Tyler Shea makes an acrobatic stop to keep this one tied. But moments later, the Bobcats are on the power play, and Colin Graff finds Jacob Quillen, and Quillen lights the lamp, 1-0 Quinnipiac. Now, Quinnipiac won't have the lead for long as Ryan St. Louis snipes one home to tie the game, silencing the crowd. Now, within the first 40 seconds of the second period, it is Quillen again. And for his second goal of the game, and the Bobcats have retaken the lead 2-1. Now later in the second period, Quinnipiac on the power play again, and this time it's Sam Lipkin who gets in on the fun, and the Bobcats finish 2 for 2 on the power play. Now the Bobcats do not lay off the gas as sophomore Alex Power gets his first NCAA career goal, put that puck in the trophy case, 4-1 Bobcats. This one will ricochet off a Graff and trickles in the net for a goal. Graff will finish with 3 points in this one in the first game since October 20th. Now, Quinnipiac will go on to win by a final score of 5-1 to improve to 2-0-1 in ECAC play, and they look to make it 3 in a row as the crosstown rivals will be coming the next day.
Well, like Brandon just said, after their win against Brown on Friday, they shifted their focus to the latest installment of the Battle of Whitney Ave. Let's get it. Quinnipiac versus Yale. First period of play, nothing doing. Second period, let's get it. Graff to Andon Surbone. He rips it top shelf where Mama hides the cookies. M&T Bank Arena is bumping 1-0 Bobcats. Now Captain Jaden Lee walking the line, rips it top shelf. Bardowski 2-0 Bobcats early. They're not done yet. Brandon Pennington over to Christophe Tellier, who finds Christophe Fillion putting that one in the back of the net. Look at that, Selly. How about the crowd, too?
Oh, the crowd is roaring in the Battle of Whitney Avenue. They're loving what they're seeing on Saturday night.
Absolutely, but the Bulldogs are not out of it yet. They go tick-tack-toe, top of the point, bang. Nicholas Elaine, puts that one in the back of the net. 3-1 the score. Bobcats would lead. Third period all comes down to this. Bulldogs on the attack. This puck would eventually find the stick of Ryan Conroy, who fires one from the point through the screen right past Duplessis, brings this game within 1. And now, I'm pretty sure we've seen this play before. It's called the Jet. Happened in the national championship. But this time it's Quillen to Lipkin is right here. Quillen to Lipkin, puts it in the back of the net, grabs the jersey, shows who he plays for. 4-2 Bobcats in the lead. Now, this play, I think we're going to see it a little bit later, teasing it now. So Andon Surbone passing it up to Mason Marcellus. He goes through, puts it right through the 5-hole of Nathan Reed. First year connection. Marcellus puts it in the back of the net. Quinnipiac would win this one 5-2 as the Bobcats would take the first installment of the Battle of Whitney Ave. Now with 2 wins in their back pocket, one Bobcat earned his first ECAC Hockey Weekly Award of the year. Welcome back. Colin Graff, as the junior forward, was named ECAC Forward of the Week in his return to the ice. He recorded 1 goal and 5 assists in this weekend's games versus Brown and Yale, and this marks Graff's first games since he was ruled out of the lineup after a series versus the UNH Wildcats on October 29th. Graff and the Bobcats will now take on 2 more tough ECAC hockey opponents, as it's Colgate and Cornell on the schedule next. Now, Cornell, they're ranked. Speaking of ranked teams, where do the Bobcats land in this week's USCHO polls? The Bobcats have moved up in the polls to number 7 in the country, jumping from number 10. There's a new number 1 in town, and their name is the Wisconsin Badgers, moving up 2 spots to take that number 1 spot in the polls. Nodak moved up as well, and they now sit at number 2. Denver and Boston College dropped down to 3 and 4 respectively. Providence and Minnesota both stay at 5 and 6, and Boston University moved up 1 spot to become the new number 8 seed in the polls. And now it's time to take our first break of the evening.
But when we come back, rugby took on Dartmouth in the NIRA playoffs. We'll see how the Bobcats did against the Big Green.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. Tough one for the Bobcats playing number 2 Dartmouth. But when we come back as well, we got college basketball season. It's in full swing here in Hamden as the men's basketball team took on CCSU. Don't go anywhere. Sports Paws will be right back.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What?
I can't drive.
Why? My. Oh.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Drew, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Welcome back to the show. The rugby team took on Dartmouth in the first round of the playoffs this past weekend. The Bobcats, looking to get revenge from last year's playoff matchup against the Big Green, ultimately fell 38-8. And the Bobcats took an early lead in this one, going up 5-0 after Kat Story found the try zone. Unfortunately for the Bobcats, it was all Dartmouth after that, as the loss marks Quinnipiac's 7th straight defeat against Dartmouth. This will then set up Dartmouth to take on rivals the Harvard Crimson Tide in their next game. Now, the cross-country team also looked to make an NCAA championship run, competing in the Northeast Regionals this weekend. The teams competed in the Bronx at Van Cortlandt Park, as the women's team recorded a total of 260 points and finished 9th at the regional meet, but Liv DiStefano to Quinnipiac had 5 runners finish in the top 100, and the Bobcats finished 9th place, tied the best mark in program history, capping off another successful season after the team won its 2nd straight MAC championship this fall. But the men's team did not fare as well, as they finished 36th at the regionals of 115 points.
Now heading back to the ice, the women's ice hockey team took on the Post University Eagles in a rare Wednesday night matchup. It's Quinnipiac versus Post. Like I said, rare Wednesday night, first period action. Captain Kate Riley from the point rips it past the goalie. 1-0 Bobcats, her first goal of the year as the graduate captain of this team. We head to the next play here. 1 goal scored already. How about another one? Veronica Bach puts that one in the back of the net. 2-0 Bobcats early in this one. 3-0 end of the period. Second period now. Quinnipiac, Zoe Yunes, top of the point to Kendall Cooper. Over to Julia Neris, who takes a clap bomb from the point, puts it top shelf. 5-0 Bobcats after that Neris goal. Later on in the frame, it's a turnover, and it's Myla Bad who gets possession, and she puts it through the 5-hole, jabbing away at it, and eventually puts it in the back of the net. Quinnipiac will lead up 8-0 after that period. Now, third period action. It's Kate Villeneuve breaking into the zone. After a shot in front, there's a scrum, and it's Mallory Morocker who gets her first goal of the season, 2nd of her career. And Brandon, records have been broken in this game, and they're going to happen on this one right here, as Kaylin LaMarche will bring this puck into the zone, juking out a defender right here. She still has it, dishes it off to Kate Riley. She puts it in the back of the net, deking out the goalie. 12-1 the score. That is the most goals in program history in a single game for the Bobcats, and they would win that one 12-1 over Post. They take on Cornell and Colgate next weekend. Now, records have been broken, but let's see where this achievement would sit the Bobcats in this week's USCHO polls. And even though the Bobcats dominated the Eagles, it was not enough to put them in the top 8 in the nation. They remain at the number 9 spot for the 2nd straight week. Wisconsin continues to hold the number 1 spot in the polls, as now both the men's and women's teams are number 1 in their respective polls. Ohio State, Colgate, Minnesota, and Clarkson still hold their spots in the polls, but Cornell is able to jump Minnesota, Duluth, and St. Lawrence to take sole possession of that number 6 spot in the polls. Quinnipiac, get ready for a weekend slate versus Colgate and Cornell. Women's hockey beat reporter Zach Stokinger and Katie Velukovic break down the rest of the ECAC.
Welcome back to the First Line. I'm women's ice hockey beat reporter Zach Stokinger, and alongside his fellow women's ice hockey beat reporter Katie Velukovic. Now, Katie, let's get into the ECAC standings. We've been through about 3 weeks of ECAC play, and here's how the standings look. Cornell and Colgate are tied at the top position at 6-0. Yale is sitting in third at 5-3. Then we have a tie between St. Lawrence and Clarkson, who are both at 4-0. Then we have the Quinnipiac Bobcats at 4-2. Brown at 4-4, and Princeton at 2-3-1. Now let's take a look at some of the best teams so far. And my favorite teams that I think we should watch out for are the Colgate Raiders, the Clarkson Golden Knights, and the Cornell Big Red. Now, Colgate is number 3 in the nation, Katie. They're coming off a record of 11-1-0. That only loss that they have there is against the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, Katie, we see here, out of these 11 wins, Colgate owns a win over Ohio State, so they split that series. Huge win for the Colgate Raiders. Now moving into the Clarkson Golden Knights, they're sitting at 13-0-1. They are undefeated the entire season. That tie only coming against Vermont. And a huge player for the Clarkson Golden Knights is goalie of the month in the ECAC. It's Michelle Pachesnik, and she has been a X factor for this Golden Knights team. They haven't had as strong of a schedule as Colgate, but they have played some competitive teams. Now, another team that has a better schedule than Clarkson is the Cornell Big Red. They are also undefeated on the season, and they also played ranked Penn State. Now, Katie, those are my teams to watch, but what are the 3 teams you looking out for?
Well, I think those are good teams to watch, and I think Andy Bernard would be very proud of the Cornell Big Red. But my teams to watch are the St. Lawrence Saints, Yale Bulldogs, and Quinnipiac Bobcats. And we're going to start off with the Saints. They're 10-3 right now, and they've been averaging 3 to 4 goals per game. And actually, one of those wins came against the Quinnipiac Bobcats. Now moving on to the Yale Bulldogs, they are 5-3, which is a pretty good record. And their captain has been leading the team with 4 goals and 9 assists. And lastly, for my last team, I have the Quinnipiac Bobcats 11-2, which is a strong start. They have Captain Sadie Peart with 11 goals and 7 assists, so she's a big top player. But one surprisingly is first-year Kaylin Lamar. She has made a big impact on this team as she has 3 goals and 9 assists so far.
Well, that's all the time we have on the first line. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Zach and Katie. Heading to the hardwood, the men's basketball team took on the CCSU Blue Devils on Friday. Let's see how they did. It's CCSU versus undefeated Quinnipiac and some NCAA men's basketball action teams warming up here. Quinnipiac around captain Matt Belonk. We'll see if he can get us started, Brandon. But now we head into the first half of play. And just as I predicted, it's Matt Belonk who gets a nice pass here from Paul Otieno, and he drills it corner 3. Matt Belonk. Now, later in the frame, Blue Devils working it around the perimeter, and it's Kellen Amos who splashes a 3 from the top of the key. Now, later in the half, Richie Springs working towards the elbow, finds Reeve Vavers with a nice 3 right there. CCSU keeps coming down as Amos drives to the middle and founds Island Jean Rose, slams that one down, half winding down. Rogers, misses a jumper, and it's a fight for a rebound. Alexis Reyes has a nice play right there. Otieno dishes it off to Belong. 2-1 layup at the buzzer. Matt Belong, 39-29 at the end of the half. Leading into the second half, it's Richie Springs who had a big point of the day. Nice layup right there. CCSU looking to come back, and almost from out of nowhere off the top rope like Randy Orton. CCSU continuing the dominance later in the frame, coming back within 2, but Vavers has something to say about that, extending the point lead back to 4, and the Bobcats would win 74-70 in a close game. Belonk and Jean Rose would lead in the point categories. And after the Blue Devils, head coach Tom Pecora wasn't too satisfied with the team. Men's basketball beat reporter Keith Savage has more.
Quinnipiac defeated Central Connecticut State University 74-70, but Coach Tom Pecora wasn't too happy about his team's performance.
Got friends in this business, and they don't care how they win, and I'm envious of them. They go out, they have a great dinner if they win, and some of them go out even if they lose, and they're just like, well, that's the game. But man, the food is not going to taste quite as good tonight, just because I just think, wins like that are a fool's gold.
Between 7:45 and 4:28 in the second half, graduate student guard Savion Lewis had 4 of his 5 turnovers, and Pecora wasn't too happy with his veteran's ball control.
Too many turnovers at the end of the game. 18 turnovers is unacceptable. Our game goal is always 13 or less.
Before the season, Pecora talked about implementing more zone defenses, but the 2 possessions the Bobcats played at 2-3, CCSU was able to score.
Middle guy stepped up too high in the zone when they went elbow, and they were able to get that dive after the first pass. Our zone's got to force you to beat us over the top with our length.
Lewis and senior forward Paulo Tiana were heavily involved in high pick and rolls. With sharpshooters like first-year forward Reeve Babers, Pecora believes it can become tough to stop.
That's got to become a bread and butter thing, because when we put good shooters, we put Rhea in the weak side corner, they can't come load off of it. So where's the help going to come on a ball screen in the middle of the floor, you know? So they almost have to pick their poison in that regard, and it's something we'll continue to run and continue to work on. And
The Bobcats now their biggest test of the season against UMass Amherst on Monday. Reporting from Q30 Sports, I'm Keith Savage.
Now, the men's basketball team was back in action tonight on the road against the UMass Minutemen. And the Bobcats got steamrolled by the Minutemen in Amherst tonight, 102-81. The team struggled on the defensive end as guard Rasul Diggins scored 22. 6 other Minutemen also scored in double figures, and UMass shot over 50% from the field. For Quinnipiac, Matt LeBlanc, Amari Tice, Alexis Reyes, and Richie Springs all scored double digits, and Savion Lewis finished with 9 assists. The team will now try to rebound from the loss at Army West Point on Friday. Now, heading to the women's side, the Bobcats took to Cambridge to take on Harvard. Now, the Bobcats were crushed by the Crimson by a score of 85-41. There was a tough first half for Quinnipiac as they struggled from the field, allowing Harvard to take a 46-14 lead into the break, and the lead proved to be too much for the Bobcats to overcome as the Bobcats shot just under 27% from the field and went an abysmal 3 for 22 from 3, and Jackie Grisdale was the leading scorer with 12 points in this one. Now, we've got to take our second break of the night.
Let's see what we have when we come back on Sports Paws. It's volleyball, and they made the trip down to New Jersey to close out their MAC regular season as they gear up for the playoffs. We'll see how they did and how they fared in the tournament.
And of course, we'll have this week's top 5 plays from across Quinnipiac sports. We'll be back on Sports Paws after this.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid?
My kid knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life, but how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have prediabetes, a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, but more than 80% don't know they have it. The good news is, prediabetes can be reversed, and for many people, healthy changes in their daily routine can make a big difference. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. Thank you for sticking with us. There was one Quinnipiac golfer that took home a MAC Monthly Award this week, and that golfer was Leanne Peralta, who won her 2nd consecutive MAC Golfer of the Month in October. Peralta won the Quinnipiac Classic title to help guide the Bobcats to the team win. She shot a 219 in 3 rounds. She also tied for 4th place at the Lady Blue Hen Invitational in Delaware and led the team to top 5 finishes on both days. Peralta once again shot a 219 in the match. Peralta finished with another fall season as one of the best in the MAC. Now, bumping it over to volleyball, the Bobcats took on the Ryder Bronx to kick off their final regular season road trip. The Bobcats started off strong, taking the first 2 sets, 25-20 in Game 1 and 25-12 in Game 2. And they were led by Alexandra Tenen, who finished with 16 kills on the day. The Bronx were able to pull off the comeback and fight back, however, taking the next 3 sets and ultimately the match. The loss cost the Bobcats the number 1 seed in the MAC standings, forcing them to settle for the 2nd seed heading into the playoffs.
Now with one loss in the rearview mirrors, the team looked to rebound against the St. Peter's Peacocks on Sunday. The Bobcats dominated this one, closing out the regular season sweep of the Peacocks. Ariana Diaz led the team in kills with 12, followed by Leilani Kaijusta with 11 and Yagmir Ganesh with 10. Both Ganesh twins and Diaz had all double-doubles on the day. The Bobcats finished with the number 2 spot in the MAC and will begin their title defense this Saturday as the MAC tournament kicks off down in Fairfield. Now, let's see where all the other teams sit while we stack up the MAC tournament. Let's see the bracket right here. The Bobcats have a first-round bye sitting at the 2 seed, while the host of the tournament, the Fairfield Stags, hold the 1 seed, finishing with the best record in the conference. The Marist Red Foxes earned the 3rd spot and will take on number 6 Iona in a match 1 match, where they will play Quinnipiac on Saturday. That will be the winner of that game. The other match is between 4 seed Niagara and 5 seed Ryder, where the winner will take on Fairfield for a trip to the MAC Championship on the line. One player on the Quinnipiac Club ice hockey team had an opportunity of a lifetime this weekend, and Q30 men's ice hockey beat reporter Andrew Reynolds has all of the details.
Ryan Solomon, where are you, buddy? Come on, just take a step out. 9-10 days in, come from the club team. You dressing tonight for you.
Last week, Quinnipiac club goalie Ryan Solomon received a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to fill a vacant goaltending spot within the Division I men's ice hockey team at Quinnipiac.
When I got that call, that message, it was pretty surreal. You know, to be out there tonight for QU Yale, you know, it's something you dream of as a kid. So, yeah, it was just a dream come true tonight.
Growing up close in Durham, Connecticut, Ryan always dreamed of playing for the Bobcats. It was frequently at the M&T Bank Arena for games. Getting called up to the NCAA level was a full circle moment for him. Head coach Rand Pecknold said that he knew Ryan was their guy after looking for a third goaltender to fill in the shoes of Noah Altman while he deals with an absence from the ice.
Noah Altman's out for a while. You know, we made the decision because it was a lengthy absence that you know, we had to get another goalie from the club team.
Obviously, the circumstances aren't the best. You know, seeing Noah go down, nobody wants to see that. He's obviously a very popular guy in the room, well respected. He's been awesome to me.
Even with Noah Altman out, Pecknold is very optimistic of Ryan and his future, as well as his integration into the program.
I brought him in. I met with him. I said, "Hey, you got a 14-day tryout. We'll see how it goes." And the guys like him. He's a good kid. He's got good grades, and we're just really happy with him so far.
With Ryan Solomon and Noah Altman out, now the question is, when will Ryan Solomon see some time in between the pipes? We'll just have to wait and see throughout the rest of the season. From the M&T Bank Arena, I'm Andrew Reynolds, Q30 Sports.
Now, Anthony, Thanksgiving is coming up, and I wish there was a way for us to give our thanks for the best plays of the week.
Well, Brandon, I think I might just have your answer. It's top 5 plays of the week, so let's run it. Top 5, play number 5, it's the jet play. It's Quillen to Lipkin, reverse of the national championship. Lipkin puts that one in. More from this game a little bit later.
Now, number 4, Alexis Reyes gives some incredible hustle to keep the ball in, and it finds Ballon, who goes down, driving down with a Euro step, beats the halftime buzzer with giving the Bobcats the lead. Bobcats would go on to win 74-70.
Now play number 3, Blinken, you might miss it. Blast from the point from Kate Riley, tipped in front by Nina Steigoff. Record-breaking game, Brandon. 12-1, I think that should be a little bit higher.
Now number 2, Brown corner kick comes in and Kayla Mangachos makes a save. Center back or goalkeeper, but the Bobcats would fall 3-0 in this one.
And play number 1, mentioned this earlier, it's happening again. It's Sorbonne to Marcellus, puts it 5-hole on Nathan Reed. Quinnipiac wins the first installment of the Battle of Whitney Ave at home.
And I think we've covered everything, right?
I don't think we have, actually. I think we got men's hockey Cornell, women's hockey Cornell. So let's talk about it a little bit. Ian Shane is one of the best goalies in the entire ECAC, and I think that this is going to be a really, really tough matchup for the Bobcats. Brandon, why don't you take us out here?
Thank you so much. My bad. For tuning in and making sure to stay up to date with all our content. Follow us on social media at Q30 Sports and check in on our website at Q30TV.com.
From the producer, staff, and everyone working hard behind the scenes, he's been Brandon Murdoch. I've been Anthony Rossi, and have a great rest of your Monday night.